This episode is brought to you by the shows of the You Run Podcast Network, all available at yourunpodcast.com. Whether it's true crime or film reviews, even TV series deep dives, the You Run Podcast Network has you covered. So go and check out yourunpodcast.com today. Mark, why did the man become an astronaut?
I don't know. Why did the man become an astronaut?
Because he needed space.
I like it. I do like that. That is good.
I thought you would, and stolen from today's movie as well.
Oh my God!
That's not our intro music. I apologise. Where is our intro music? I've had a shuffle.
You've been on holiday and all of a sudden shit's gone to pot. Come on, do this again.
I've had a shuffle round of where all the things are. And where is it? There it is. No, is that it? Yeah, that's it.
You want to die tonight?
The dad jokes you tell sets the scene. I hang on every word lost in the screen. The passion for fear is contagious enough. You make me believe in Mark's overblown roundups. You run podcasts for a movie review, unveiling facts and playing games too. Your words paint pictures of darkness and dread, leaving me grinning long after I fled.
Hello and welcome to the You Run Podcast Horror Movie Review. If this is your first time listening, that opening you just heard is about as professional as we're going to get for the rest of this episode.
Oh, you're actually going to keep that in, are you?
100% that's staying. My name is Scott.
My name is Mark.
And we are your hosts each week as we take you through movies chosen by you on our Instagram page, which is at You Run Podcast, or new releases like we've got today. You need to go and follow us on Instagram. We're at You Run Podcast. Mark is at Reviews from the Crypt or at VHS from the Crypt. If you like reviews, follow the review page. If you like VHS, follow the VHS page. If you like Mark, because he's awesome, follow both pages.
I don't know if I can pull off the dab these days. Can I pull off the dab? Is that a dab? Is that a dab? Is that what that is?
You look like a demented velociraptor. That's what you
I was going to say,
like.
That's not a cool look. I look like the Australian fucking breakdancer.
Do that again. I'm going to give you like a, I don't know, it's an alien episode. I'll give you a xenomorph scream. Ready? 3, 2, 1. There you go. You can get in touch with the show in loads of ways. Send us an email, youpodcast@gmail.com, or send us a voicemail. You can do this on X and Instagram. Go to where you send a DM, hold down the microphone button, record us a message, and we will play your message on the air and respond to whatever it is you want to say. Also, we've got a YouTube channel, which you need to go and check out. It's at You Run Podcast on there as well. We've got loads of stuff on there at the moment. Absolutely loads. We're dropping around 3 to 5 episodes a week. Currently, we've got what we know so far about Beetlejuice. We've got a spoiler-free review of The Crow. There's loads. Go and check that out as well. How these episodes work is we give you a synopsis of the movie. We then go into kind of spoilers. We kind of do everything. We tell you what we liked, what we didn't like. We go through scenes that we enjoyed. We generally just chat through the movie. It's not a detailed run through. So if that's what you're looking for, we don't do that anymore. We used to, but we don't now.
We used to. You can go back and listen to maybe 5 or 6 episodes ago and listen to 200 episodes of detailed run throughs.
Yeah,
we've rebirthed now.
We have. We are brand spanking new. We then give you roundups and scores. We give you facts. We play games. We've got interactive features. We've got a little bit of everything. 45 years since the original and 7 years from the latest installment, we go back to the world of Weyland-Yutani. Another adventure for the xenomorph and the face huggers or face rapers, depending on how you want to call them. In this installment, we follow Rain and her AI brother Andy as they embark on a mission to escape a mining colony with some friends. and they make an experiment. It is the xenomorph that blew out of Ripley's hatch so many, many years ago when she was there in her panties, the one that she fired out of the airlock. It's the same xenomorph. This movie has split audiences more than I thought it would. Fede Alverez is known for doing this. He done Evil Dead 2013 and Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Go and look at reviews for both of those. Again, he split audiences because he took something that's well established, tipped it on his head, and said, I'm doing my own thing. If you haven't guessed already, today we are reviewing Alien Romulus. Where do you want to start?
I don't know. Where do we start? I don't know. Well, you made a comment saying that Fede Alverez, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, he was only a producer on that. I know he was set to direct that originally, but you can't. That feels like a really bad thing to say. Like, oh, he didn't direct that, because I love that movie. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre that came to Netflix was fucking phenomenal. I thought that was the best Texas Chainsaw we've had since the original.
Thing is,
but in terms of his stature.
Yeah, no. He was as much a producer on that as Steven Spielberg was a producer on Poltergeist. Like,
no, come on, no. Steven Spielberg directed the Poltergeist,
and Fede Alvarez,
and they just put Toby Hooper's name on it. That's what the Poltergeist went like.
That's exactly the same with Texas Chainsaw. You can't tell me Fede Alvarez was there every day and didn't go, well, how I would do it after I've just done Evil Dead, which was a bit of a hit, is I'd do it this way. So I think you should do that. Come on.
Nah, I don't think he was day in, day out. I think that would have been a very different Texas Chainsaw Massacre had he been. And again, nothing to take away from that movie. I love it. I think it's fucking phenomenal. I hope when the sequel comes out, which we have been announced that we're getting, continue straight off the back of that one. That would be perfect for me. Very unlikely, but I hope it does. Fede Alvarez, I don't know. I love him. I love some of the things he's done. I'm not a massive fan of Don't Breathe. I don't feel like that movie is his best work, although some people tend to think it is. I think The Evil Dead is, without a shadow of a doubt, his best work to date. I was excited. I was excited when he was announced to be involved in this project, whether that be directing or producing credits. I didn't care. The fact that he was involved in this new movie that was coming out excited me a lot. And I feel like he has lived up to that expectation slightly not. And I'll get into those as we go on.
I think
it's hard, really. Where do we want to go with this without immediately diving into overall opinions, because it's a very divisive episode.
Let's start with visuals. Visually, this movie is beautifully shot. It is stunning. Like that opening world where they're on that sort of slave planet, that's what I wanted. I wanted it to stay there and drop a xenomorph into that crowded, busy environment. That's what I wanted. Like that whole environment. Because I want to. We've never had a xenomorph.
You're an Alien versus Predator fan, aren't you? Tell me. Don't lie to me. Tell me now. You're an Alien versus Predator fan.
No,
fucking
I'm not.
Monster.
I want to see an Alien where it is just carnage. Like we always see the Alien hunting from the rafters or hiding, and I want to see where the Alien,
because that's what environment it works best in.
I don't know. You put a xenomorph in that big crowded marketplace at the beginning, I think it's going to do okay. You put 30 in there, and that is going to be absolute carnage.
I know, but what point does that become where you're just like, this is just an onslaught? It gets boring very quickly, that scenario, I think.
You could have opened with that and then, I don't know, nuked the planet and then gone and done another story. But just having that, it's something I've been desperate to see in the Alien franchise for years. I want to see a xenomorph in a shopping center. That's what I want.
Well, we might get that with the Alien Earth TV series, which is coming out later this year or early next year.
Yeah.
I'm not too skeptical about that because the timelines don't suit for me in terms of what has already been established within this franchise's timeline. It
Well,
doesn't seem to add
you
up
say
or
that,
work for
but
me in any way.
this doesn't do. This is irrelevant to the entire Alien timeline. So this sits between.
It's not.
It sits between Alien and Aliens. If you take this out, it
Yeah.
still works. It doesn't add
Yeah, of
to the
course it does.
franchise. It doesn't take away from the franchise. This is a standalone thing that
Well, it does and it doesn't. It also incorporates a lot of the Prometheus stuff, which people. I feel like this is a very good movie to. Don't do that. Don't do that to me this early on. I know you're going to go down that route, and we will deal with it later. So save your sighs and save your grumblings for later when we get to it. But for me personally, I feel like this is a very good bridge for people who are massive fans of the Alien Covenant and Alien Prometheus story, and as well as the original standalone Alien 1, 2, 3 and Resurrection. I think this does a very good bridging gap to incorporate a lot of that mythology together to make it work within the timeline. If you suited this in between Alien and Aliens, I'm a big Alien fan. I'm going to gush a lot about how much of a big Alien fan I am of the franchise as a whole. And I think that this movie does a very, very good job. Fan service excluded. We'll get to fan service because that's a fucking half an hour conversation on its own. But I do feel like what this movie does in terms of incorporating your fucking sound bites, man. What I do feel this movie does without that fucking cringy, slocky stuff that it adds to it is bridge the gap very well in a way that makes Prometheus and Alien Covenant more exclusive to fans of the franchise overall.
Yeah, see, I don't class Prometheus or Covenant as part of the Alien franchise. They are a standalone thing that lives adjacent to the Alien.
How can you know it's Ridley Scott?
I don't.
He
care.
is the Alien Motherhood.
Ridley.
Right. This is a question for you. James Cameron, Ridley Scott.
Both. James Cameron.
No. You can only pick one.
Oh,
James Cameron or Ridley Scott.
If I'm picking one to watch, it's James Cameron all day long. Aliens is the better movie.
Do you honestly believe that? You think Aliens is better than Alien? Just so I know where we are within our friendship, that's all.
Yeah, from an enjoyment standpoint, like if I'm going to pick one to watch that I want to see all the way through that doesn't have big lulls in it, I'm going to pick Aliens because it is just constant, fast-paced. Alien is very, very slow. I love Alien. It's a 5-star movie. But given the choice of the two to watch, I'm picking Aliens every single time, which is, again, is why I didn't like Prometheus, because for the first hour and 15 minutes, I'm banging my head on the desk going, just fucking something happen.
Yeah, but you see, that's what I loved about this movie is because it's incorporated so much of the two. And you have that total concept of isolation and terror and fear, which is something I haven't felt from an Alien movie since the first. I'll be honest with you. I don't think any movie in this franchise encapsulates the sheer terror that the xenomorph holds and the whole concept of the movie itself better than what Alien Romulus did.
Well, this brings everything together. So this has got the action, it's got the genuine terror that Ridley Scott created. It's got some of the goofiness of Alien 3 and some of the goofiness of Resurrection, and then it brings in the lore of Prometheus and Covenant. It brings everything together really well. I'm not going to lie, it takes bits from it. Fede Alverez took the best bits of all the franchise, all the movies that he liked, and he made them work in this. And
yeah, he's a fanboy. It's simple as that. He's a fanboy of the franchise.
Yeah, and one of the things that really works for me in this, and I think it's not something we've seen before, and it's Rain and Andy. Their relationship is brilliant because at the very beginning, you don't realize that he's an android. Like where they're walking through that market, and he's like, he's so innocent. Like he's watching the people do the cards, like shuffling the cards. He's like, oh, and he like goes to walk away. So no, you need to come here. He's like, but I want to play. She's like, you can't. Like it's rigged. They win every time. He's like, well, how am I going to win any money? And she's like, you're not. And like,
No.
that whole thing I love, and I really love where she goes to the Weyland-Yutani. She's like, I've done my 12,000 hours of service. I'm free to go. And the woman behind the counter's like, yeah, well, unfortunately, as of yesterday, it's now 24,000 hours. So in about 4 to 5 years, come and see me and we'll let you go. Also, we're moving you to the mine now. And you're like, wow.
Yeah, and that's one thing that I think this movie does very, very well is it establishes sort of, because one thing we don't see a lot of the Alien movies is the humanity of people. We get a very isolated situation with the people with the confines of the crew and the ship that we're dealing with, regardless of that movie. And I think this movie perfectly sort of gives us a little bit of reasoning behind why there is so much desperation between the cast members of each individual movie. Like they all want to escape something. They all want to get away from the life and the grind that they have. And it's like a perfect metaphor for the 9 to 5 that everybody deals with day in, day out. You mentioned about Andy being a big forefront of this movie. And I'm going to say out right now, I think Andy is the forefront of this movie. He is not only exceptionally casted, but his involvement in this movie alone is just phenomenal. And I think that's based a lot on the previous movies in the franchise that we've seen. We've seen a progression of androids throughout. We get Ash in the first movie, we get Bishop in the second, and then go on to be Bishop in the third. But each one of them have a different sort of what's a word to describe how they kind of behave in each individual movie. They have a sort of like update upon themselves as they go through each individual movie, especially when we get to Resurrection with Winona Ryder's character in Winona Ryder's character in Alien Resurrection, because she's sort of like the peak of the android. She's almost on the perfect human level with the ability to deal with her emotions and adapt to situations. She's the closest to human form that the android could possibly seek. But then when we bring it back a little bit to what we get to Andy, they do a great job of showing original design purpose over corporate purpose. And I like the switch between his original design purpose, which is to protect Rain and look after her. That's his sole purpose, protect Rain. And then when he gets that chip implanted to him at some point within the movie, he has that constant battle between himself and trying to override the system in order to do what's best for the company and what's best to do for his programming. And I think he is the central focus of the movie, and I think the actor, I can't remember off the top of my head what his name was, but his performance is stellar, absolutely stellar. And I think he makes a movie. I'll be honest with you, I really do.
And I think him and Rain are what make the movie. All of the other characters they're there as fodder. So Rain gets invited to go and see some friends, and they're talking about the fact there's a decommissioned ship flying over, and it's got cryocells that they can use to then fly their ship with the cryocells to a free planet. But they need her, and they need Andy, because Andy can access the mothership on board.
Yeah.
And they agree to this. And they don't do a very good job. Like, if you look at all of the Alien movies, let's pick Aliens, for example. Every single character within that team have very distinct personality traits, and they are very much their own characters, and they all have a backplot and they all have a story. Everyone outside of Rain and Andy in this, they don't do a very good job. Like they say, for example, you've got Dora the Explorer, who's pregnant. And like her only character trait is that she's pregnant. You've got the other guy who's horrible to Andy, and his only personality trait is an android accidentally killed his mother, left her down in the mine, so he hates androids. There's no real depth to any of those characters.
No, I think you're wrong. I think you're massively wrong on that. And I do. The guy who's massively angst against Andy, yeah, he is the dick of the movie. He is constantly a dick throughout, and he has no redeeming qualities. We do get a backstory to him, which explains why, which I think is a very, very vital point within the Alien franchise to showcase the capabilities of the androids, because he says that the android killed his mother. The android killed his mother. He trapped her in the mines, but it highlighted a key point that explained that androids can't kill a human there and then. Like, they can't outright kill. They don't have it within their programming, but they do have the ability to do the greater good. I really wish we were doing Hot Fuzz, because then I could use my the greater good line. Well, you get it. You know where I'm going.
Yeah. Why don't you? We'll use this line instead, because this is who you're talking about next.
But I think, and it brings me back to what we were saying about Andy being the central focus of the movie, and I think that he is the main focus of the movie, and his directive and his progression throughout, and this point and the chemistry between the two, and the reasoning why there's so much angst between the central dickhead character of the plot, which is somebody who I think is massively overplayed. I think they could have toned it down. I think they could have given him a little bit more character development, which we would have more empathized with him within his death. But I think the reasoning behind him makes greater sense to when we get towards sort of like the third act, and Andy's unwilling to open that door when the xenomorphs outside waiting, when they're trying to protect Dora the Explorer.
Like, that is absolutely brilliant, that scene. Like, the xenomorph, she's banging and she's been cut, and the xenomorph is sat perched on a pipe, and then
literally waiting.
Yeah, and Andy's like, no, that's what it's waiting.
That's what he wants us to do.
Yeah, I'm not letting it in because it will kill all of us, and that's not best for the company. And then the xenomorph jumps down, grabs her, and you're like, wow. And that's when Rain slaps him. And I love the fact because he's an android, he doesn't have emotions. So when she slaps him, he's like, is that out of your system? Right, let's carry on doing what's best for the company. And he's brilliant. She's brilliant.
And like that, and he's switching his personality from. And I love that scene. Let's talk about the scene where he actually switches. So they break into the area where they're trying to get the extra cryo freeze, I think that's what it's called.
Yeah.
In order to power the pods, which makes them be able to do the 9-hour journey to get to where they're going. This is when they unleash all the facehuggers. Man, this scene is fucking jaw-dropping. Where I love how much that the facehuggers are the central focus of this movie more than the xenomorphs themselves. Yeah. Because to me, I find the facehuggers a lot more terrifying. You know me, I'm an arachnophobic. I hate spiders. So seeing this whole scene play out, where they all burst out throughout those individual pods, and they're all this whole 10-minute segment where they break through the door. If you haven't seen the movie, what I'm saying sounds fucking stupid. If you have seen the movie and you're still listening to this podcast, you'll understand the volume of how important this scene is within Alien Romulus.
Yeah, and I think like the xenomorphs, the facehuggers are the scariest thing in Alien by a country mile. And as much as they utilize them running around a lot, they didn't utilize them face hugging enough. They face hug once, and it's disgusting because you see like when they twice, well, when the one where they freeze the tail and they pull it off, and you see this long, like, I don't know, 16-inch penis come like that. I was like, oh my god! But I wanted more of that, because that was like, fuck, that's awful. And like when it's wrapped, and Andy's like, well, I think it's breathing. Don't take it off. It's letting her breathe. Like all of that, brilliant. Loved that.
Yeah.
But I don't.
But I
think
mean,
they
the thing for me
utilised
in
them
that
enough.
particular scene, in that segment that goes on, is when Andy goes into shutdown mode because they're trying to break out, and Andy doesn't have clearance to get out of the room. They put the chip inside him, and he reprograms, and his eyes roll back inside his head.
Yeah,
And you get, when his eyes roll back, and you get the Will and Yutani signals in his eyes. I was like, oh, that's so fucking cool. But you talk about how the face huggers, like, let's talk about the chestbuster scene. I don't think this is as good as Alien Covenant's backburster scene in any way, shape, or form. And I don't think it even compares within 90 degrees of what happened in the original Alien.
I think the chestburster scene in this is weak
Pathetic,
in comparison to. Yeah, and I'm also going to say, like, the added bit of lore in this, that like we've seen the chestbursters come out, we've seen the little alien scurry away, but we've never seen the bit that goes between that and when it evolves into a full xenomorph. And in this, the way they show that happening is it makes a giant wall vagina. Is the only way I can describe it.
Yeah, but that's relevant though. That's relevant to the movie, and I don't think you picked up on that. Is because, not to insult you, I'm sure you maybe did. I'm not being that guy. I'm just saying, like, in this movie in particular, that felt very aggressive. I do apologize. In this movie in particular, no, that wall vagina is very relevant because we've never, when you go back to the original Alien movie and you talk about Ash trying to take off the facehugger and all the rest of them, and he's like, oh, we'll freeze it and then we'll pull it off. Ash is like, no, you can't do that. You can't do that. That's not going to happen. In the original Alien movie, we get to see full gestation. We get to see it produced properly. In Romulus, we don't. It doesn't make full gestation because they freeze the tail and they pull it out too early. The alien hasn't fully gone its full cycle, its full 9 months, if you will, if you're talking regarding human form. So therefore, when it comes out premature. So therefore, that is what that's representing, is the fact that it came out early. So therefore, it hadn't finished its full cycle. So therefore, it made the cocoon that it did to finish its full cycle before it could come out to make the
I've got to ask you, if you found the wall vagina and you knew it had an alien in it, would you go to?
Yes.
But would you get the electric stick and poke it inside the wall vagina and make the wall vagina squirt? Because that's what it done. And I honestly, I sat there giggling to myself. I was like, this is some weird fucking. Fede Alverez was watching OnlyFans that morning. He's gone, I've got a really good idea. Like, it was so weird and such an odd choice. And then, like, when the alien starts dripping the acid blood, the guy just lays on the floor and watches it happen. It's like that whole scene is like, what is going on? It was so bizarre.
No, and it was a cool death for the guy that we all hated. One of the coolest deaths in the movie, I'll be honest with you. But I get what you're saying. It did feel. Why don't you just run away? What are you doing? It's so in a womb. It's not attacking you. Just get out of the situation. You don't need to do this. You would be much better off if you just ran away. Yeah, I get that, but I feel like it suits the erratic behavior of the character. And one thing that a lot of people criticize this movie of when the trailers came out is like, oh, why are you doing the whole teenage thing? Why are you putting all of the teenagers? This is the Alien franchise. These are supposed to be. I think the plot of this movie justifies the characters that are within it. I think this is a really, really solid written Alien movie within the universe.
Yeah, I agree. Like, this is a good movie. I'm not bashing it, but there are bits in it that I just can't help but take the piss out of. Like, that's one of them.
Of course.
Like, that had me not in stitches, but I was chuckling away. Same as when I realized who the girl was, and I went, oh, it's Dora the Explorer. And the bloke next to me in the cinema looked at me, looked back at the screen, and then sort of went, oh, fuck, it is. And then he was chuckling as well. Like,
I don't get it. Is she actually like the voice of Dora Explorer, or is she like in a film?
She was in the live action Dora the Explorer and played Dora the Explorer.
I've never seen that. I don't think anybody else has seen that either.
Anyone who has children that are around about between 15 and 19 has probably seen that movie with their kids. I saw that in the
Nobody
theatre.
of our age. Do you have children that are 15 and 19?
I have children that are 17, so they're in that age bracket. So yeah, I've been to the
How old's
cinema
your
and
oldest
watched them.
child? Just so we can
My
get a demographic.
17, my oldest boy.
Yeah, how old's your oldest daughter?
22.
So that makes you
105. Let's move on. Let's talk about the Ash 2.0 and his terribly CGI'd face. I
Yes.
rolled at this a lot. Like
I did and I didn't. Like, I have a lot of things to say about this, and I want to know where you stand on it before I get too deep.
See, I appreciated it. I was like, oh, that's really cool because the androids are meant to look the same. Like the CGI was a bit wonky. I got over that. When he started sort of almost line for line, verbatim, repeating what I'd heard in Alien 1, I was like, like one line would have been enough, but you're giving so much. And I'd rather they just used a different android. I wouldn't have cared that it was a different android. Like pick
Lance Hendrickson's still alive. Why do you use Lance Hendrickson?
Pick any other character from the Alien franchise. Fuck, give Sigourney Weaver a cameo as an android, and I would have screamed like, "That's amazing!" Like anyone, I don't care who, but to CGI it, I don't know. I think that was a bad decision. Like the practical effects below the CGI are brilliant. They're so good. But yeah. I don't know. I rolled a lot at his inclusion and the fact they just called him Rook instead of Ash. I was like,
Well, he's a different model, isn't he? So this is one thing that I've seen a lot of people saying on Instagram and Facebook and stuff. Say, oh yeah, it doesn't make any sense that Ash is on the ship. Nerds calculating on keyboards. It's a different android.
I knew it was a different android, but like I knew it was different. But the fact it was almost identical line for line of, we've been doing this experiment and this, and like, oh, fuck off, man. Like, I've heard all this shit before. Like, this is all in Alien 1. You're just repeating it. And then later he's got a couple of lines that are
And identical. I think that's the biggest problem because his inclusion is very vital. Like, he is a very vital character to the story. And the reasoning behind it and the inclusion and the sort of evolution of the xenomorph and how it spreads like it does, and like it's so important the things that he says, and using Ian Holm to do so fully compromises the value of what he's saying. And that's what annoyed me more than anything. Is it was great, don't get me wrong, it was great to see Ian Holm, and I went after this, and after I'd come out of the cinema, the first thing I did was went to Google and I was like, how did the family feel about this, and how did they do it, and what so forth? And they got all the blessing from all the family to do this, and it was given permission to do so and use his image and do it in the correct way. And they all studied and watched what had been presented by Fede Alverez, and they were all happy with what had been produced. Clearly, not a lot of them know a key thing about visual effects. However, the inclusion of it is really, really important because of what he says, and it gives a lot of infill to the gap and the bridge between Alien and Aliens. And I feel like a lot of that gets overshadowed by the use of his image. I'll be honest with you. I feel like had they include, I just don't understand why they just didn't use Lance Hendrickson, who's still alive, and he could have lent his visual face representation or however they do it, and included him rather than Bishop, rather than Ash, because for me, all I could focus upon was my precious.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's Bilbo Baggins. Let's do this shit. And it's like, for me, Ash wasn't, as much as I love the original Alien movie, he's not the android. Bishop is the android in the Alien franchise. Bishop, Lance Hendrickson, he is the android in the Alien franchise. And so to include Ash's image in this, and so poorly done as well, like some of the practical effects work that they used to showcase it look great, but it's the first introduction you see, it looks fantastic, and then like 4 or 5 seconds later it cuts to a segment where they sort of pan out, and the CGI is awful. It's like PS3 level graphics. And I was just like, why even bother? Why, if it takes that much effort to do something like this that doesn't even represent what you're trying to present to the audience, why do it? Why do it? Because it I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to say here. I don't know the ethics behind it. It just, for me, it just didn't seem fitting. And as soon as I saw it, I was like, this dude's dead. He doesn't give you permission to do this. Whether his family do or not, it doesn't give you the right to then go. It's like when we had that whole fucking telegraphic thing of the Tupac concert. I was like, would Tupac allow you to do this? Would he allow you to give this fucking big Coachella performance of his image and reap all the profits out of it and sing songs that he's probably not all that fucking behind these days due to some of the language used? It's just annoying. And I think when they use somebody so posthumous, is posthumous the right word?
Yeah, I think so. Posthumous.
It's just posthumous. Yeah, it's just annoying, and it's just like, without official consent, I don't agree to it. And I'm not like, oh, AI is taking over. This isn't an AI conversation, because this was a decision made by Fede Alverez, and they didn't use AI. They used practical effects and a little bit of visual effects over the top. They didn't use AI to replicate his image. It was all done via practical and visual effects to make it happen. And it's just like, I don't know. I don't know how comfortable I feel with it, because he didn't give consent to do this, regardless of his family. The family are not in a position to give consent to use his image. And this is something that, like, who's the Indiana Jones dude? Harrison Ford.
Yeah.
He's been like a big advocate for it recently. He's been like, once I'm dead, man, don't fucking use my face to make profit and stuff, you know? And that's what I don't like about it, because there's so many people within this franchise that they could have used, which would have replicated the same sort of story. It didn't need to be Ian Holm, and I don't know where I'm at with it. It made me feel uncomfortable seeing it.
I'm kind of where you are as well, and for me, this is where bad decisions and fan service really started. Like, this was the first bit when I'm like, oh, and then it's shortly after this we get the Venom super serum from Prometheus makes an appearance.
Yeah, I like it. Don't go there. I like it.
Don't get me wrong, it works in this movie. I don't like it in Prometheus, but in this it kind of makes sense. And Ian Holm's character explained it really well, that this is like what they've extracted. Like, all of this, it works, but it is pure fan service. What wasn't fan service?
They should have used David. They should have used David as the android. That would have been perfect. That is where they should have gone. They should have used David as the android from the ship. Not the David, because he is God tier from Alien Covenant, but a version of his android.
Yeah, I agree.
Right, I'm on board. We've already made a better movie.
We have. One thing that wasn't fan service that I didn't see coming, that I absolutely fucking adored, is the fact that the auto-aiming gun is one of them. Like, where she puts the thing on and the strap, and like, he's like, just point it in the direction you want and half hold the trigger, and then she points it and it like snaps into place and it tracks. And then you get Andy going, yeah, well, you can't shoot any of them because like their blood will melt through the ship and then we'll all die. So it's great. It's just there to scare them away. But the bit where she's overcome and there's aliens coming from everywhere and the gravity is switched off, like that bit where she's like, there's no gravity. The blood's not going to touch anything. And she just fucking empties this 450 round clip into the aliens. And then her and Andy have to like float through the big like gloops of alien acid blood. That was just perfection. So
cool, so creative and so original. And it's scenes like this in this movie that piss me off, because I'm like, you have it. You have the ability to make something awesome. You have the creativity. You can see, because it's clear Fede Alverez is a fucking fanboy of this franchise. He loves his movies, and this is his homage to the Alien franchise. And when he does stuff like this, I'm like, yes, you get it. You
Yeah.
get it. You get what's cool about these movies. You get what is possible within this franchise. And you have just given us one of probably the best scenes within the Alien franchise within this full 2-minute segment as they're drifting through the xenomorph alien blood that's dripping down around them without gravity field. And to be fair, I think he does a great job of setting that up early on as well. I think when he showcases the gravity fields early on as they first get onto the ship, as they come in and waves and they come and go. And when it gets to this scene, I didn't expect it. I'll be completely honest with you. I knew they were setting it up. When they introduced it, I was like, oh, that's going to be relevant later on. But when it was relevant, I was like, fuck yeah, that is cool. I don't know, man. I'm really torn with this movie.
Like that, I loved that. I mean, I absolutely adored that. That was just so clever. Something that I'd never seen before, and I get the feeling this movie is got a lot of studio notes in it. I think there's a lot of studio hand in this going, oh, you should do this. Oh, you should do that. The main point is where we get the repeat of the Ripley line from Aliens, where Andy jumps down to save Ray and he's like,
why?
Get away from her, you. And there's a pause. And I was like, don't do it. Just get away from her. That's fine. And he's like, you bitch. I was like, oh, why? Why did you do that? And then from there,
and the thing is, like, I'm going to try and justify it a little bit because I think it's set up perfectly earlier on. Because the arsehole character who gets melted by the wall vagina that we spoke about, he's constantly calling Andy a bitch throughout. Like, it's apparent. He's like, you bitch, 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 bitch.
Yeah.
He says it so many times, like, you know it's coming. You know he's going to repeat that line later on. But when it does come in, it's so wooden. And I know he's an android, and his delivery is not the best. But when it does come in...
to activate a super android, but you do not know if he will be in a good mood or not.
But when it does come in, I was just... I cringed in my seat in the cinema. I wanted to be like, don't do that. You didn't need to do that. And every time movies try to do that, when they call back, like all the movies in cinema, we know them. They've all come and gone, and we've seen where original movies have happened 20, 30, 40 years earlier, and then they do this callback scene. Halloween Ends.
Yeah.
They're in there constantly. I love Halloween. You know I love Halloween. But they do it throughout Halloween Ends. And every time they do it, it doesn't land. You're not sat there cheering like, yeah, whoa. And I feel like this was one of those moments where Fede Alverez was going to be like, the cinema's going to go wild for this. This is going to be one of those stand-up cheer moments. But everybody just curled back and was like, this movie was so good. Why did you do that? It didn't need it. Don't do it. It wasn't good. It felt awkward.
And what else it didn't need was you get the scene where Dora the Explorer gives birth. And that's graphic and it's horrific. And like, I'm fine with that. Like, that works for me. And I wanted her to give birth to just a xenomorph, like even if it was like a skin tone xenomorph. But instead, we get something that lives between the hybrid in Alien Resurrection and the like
engineer.
Adonis man, the engineer. And all that went through my head was just
weird alien man.
Like, where are you with this? Because like this bit where the alien man's trying to get her, and they do the bit where like they're coming down and they're going to crash on the asteroid belt. Like all of this, I was like, oh, like you've put a time limit on it, and you've added in this man. And I honestly, at this point, I was like, I don't give a fuck anymore. This isn't an alien movie anymore. This has just become some bullshit fan service to the fans of Prometheus.
Yeah, right. I'll be straight up with you. I love this movie. I thought it was fucking phenomenal. But I think this movie has 3 endings, and this was on its last straw with it. It could have ended 3 or 4 times before this. We get to this point, and it just felt like it was just copying Alien Resurrection. I love the inclusion of the black glue.
Yeah.
You know where I'm going.
The Venom serum.
Yeah, because that is a callback to the Prometheus and Alien Covenant story, and it makes it kind of come full circle how she injected that, because they get her under false pretenses and they're like, oh yeah, this is going to make you better, this is what is going to, and she injects it. So I like that it looks like an engineer, because that is the primal sort of Venom. That is. If you watch The Boys, that is the blue Venom as opposed to the Temp V green Venom.
Yeah.
I just don't know. I just felt very repetitive of what we'd already seen. And I even spoke to you and I was like, oh, mate, I fucking love this movie. I thought it was fantastic. But I tapped out. I tapped out at this point and I was like, I'm kind of done now. And it just feels like you're just repeating what's already been done. And I'll be honest with you, mate, after the birth sequence of this creature and the introduction of it, I don't know what happens next. I've only watched this once. This is a new release. I've only seen it once, so I can't comment too much, but I tapped out here.
She kills the alien by dropping the bottom out of the ship and it gets sucked into the asteroid belt, so it doesn't exist in the future movies, and Rook goes in there and she flies away. And the final bit of fan service that I didn't need was her giving her like captain's log, very reminiscent of Ripley's final this will be my final broadcast. It was almost line for line what Ripley done. And I was like, like you had this perfect alien movie in the palm of your hand. And in the last 30 minutes, you seem to have fumbled and fucked the ending up to a point that I don't care now. Like I was so invested, and the tail end just broke it for me. It just made me go, like you was
generic.
I wanted to grab Fede Alverez and go, you were so close, then you fucked it up. Why did you listen to that dickhead studio exec who worked on Resurrection and said you needed this in there? You should have told him no. And that's what I think it is. I think the end of this movie is very much the studio went, Joe, it'd be really good here. Do you remember that movie Alien Resurrection that bombed? Wouldn't it be nice to put a little nod into that and like stick a hybrid in? I don't
Alien
know.
Resurrection's awesome, by the way. That didn't deserve the bomb.
No, I love Alien. I watched Alien Resurrection about 10 minutes before I went to go and watch Romulus. I finished it, then want to watch Romulus. And that's why when this happened, I was like, oh my God. Like
it's the same. It is exactly the same. Apart from the fact that he didn't get sucked out of a tiny little hole, it's the same.
Yeah, it is. Shall we take a break?
Yes.
When you finish this episode, why not head over to yourunpodcast.com and see what else we have available for you. With incredible shows like Movies for Days, hosted by Newman, this is your non-pretentious, easy access movie review show, covering all genres, be it horror, action, romantic comedy. Newman and Movies for Day has everything you could possibly need. And why not check out You Gonna Eat That Crust podcast, hosted by Seamus, Ryan and Greg. This incredible podcast covers everything, from games to movies to what they've done this week. This is three friends who've known each other from high school, just saying it as it is every single episode. Now these and many more incredible shows all available at yourunpodcast.com. So don't miss out. Go and check out our website today. So make sure you go and check out all the shows of the You Run Podcast Network, all available at yourunpodcast.com. Movies for Days and You're Gonna Eat That Crust podcast are both fabulous. They both do very different things to the rest of the network. So go and check both of those out, and everyone else as well. While you're there, buy a t-shirt. That'd be cool. Click on the link to our movie. Watch that. Click on the link to our YouTube. That's there too. Like everything is on yourunpodcast.com. So go and have a look. We're going to do facts first today. So when I said this was fan service to the max, like I dug up some facts just to show you just how much this is. I've got a lot, so I'm going to rattle through them fairly quickly. Right, we'll start with the film's production design. was done by. It's basically the whole design of this is based on the game Alien Isolation, and
Yeah.
if you played that, like this is so much like it, even down to like the emergency communication stations. Like Fede Alverez said he was playing Alien Isolation when he made Don't Breathe. And it was when playing that game, he come up with the idea for Romulus going, if I took what they do in this game and put it on the big screen, it would be fucking awesome. And I downloaded Isolation after I watched Romulus, and it gave me a new appreciation for how close it is. He done such a good job of emulating that game.
Yeah, you talk about those stations and stuff, but like apparently, I don't know. I haven't paid much attention because I haven't played the game, but apparently those stations are like the safe stations from Resident
Yeah.
Evil, where you get to like a safe room. Apparently, whenever anything like major is going to go down within Romulus, you'll see one of those on the side of the wall. So it kind of gives you a heads up to say like shit's about to go down. Save your game, basically.
Exactly that. Fede Alverez had some script rewrites from Mr. James Cameron to help him keep continuity in the franchise and make his movie not alter Aliens lore in any way. Which, if I'm honest, the involvement of Ridley Scott and James Cameron, I think may have hampered Fede Alverez more than it helped him.
You said James Cameron.
Yeah, James Cameron and Ridley Scott. Ridley Scott was a producer on this.
Oh.
James Cameron helped with script rewrites. So they were both heavily involved. And I don't know. Just let him run wild. Look what he done with The Evil Dead when he was given free reign.
Yeah, I don't know. I think like there's a lot in here that probably came from Ridley Scott and also maybe James Cameron. But I do feel like as an immersive experience, it does blend quite well between the first two.
Yeah, it does. This was going to be released on Hulu. It was going to go straight to streaming. This was bumped to a theatrical release and pushed back following the success of Prey. So it's Prey that made this get a theatrical release. When they were filming, Fede Alverez had loudspeakers, and he would play alien noises and footsteps and like xenomorph screams into the set to put actors on edge. So when you see actors turn, that's where he's boomed a loudspeaker somewhere and an alien screamed like behind the head, which I thought was really, really cool.
Really cool.
When Rain gives Andy new so every time Andy gets a new directive, so when Hooper or whatever he is, Ash gives him a new directive, and when Rain gives him a new directive, you hear the save sound from Alien Isolation.
I've never played Isolation, so I didn't pick up on it.
It's so cool. Now, this one, the human xenomorph thing, when it cracks her helmet, and you get that shot of her like that, and you've got the light down the side of it, that is a direct rip of the cover of Alien Isolation. There's so much in here from Alien Isolation. The movie takes elements from almost everything. You've got Rook or Ash from Alien. You've got xenomorph enemies in Mass, which is from Aliens. You've got the close to the face scene where the alien comes right into Rain's face, which is from Alien 3. You've got the hybrid alien from Resurrection. And then you've got the architects, which refer back to Prometheus and Covenant. The movie ends with Rain recording her final log, survivor log, which is almost identical to Sigourney Weaver. Sigourney Weaver's actually done 2 logs. So she'd done one for the movie and she'd done a separate one for the game, Alien Isolation.
I didn't realize she was involved in that.
Yeah, the character you play in Alien Isolation is Sigourney Weaver's daughter, and she's looking for her mum.
Is that canon to the story then?
It would work as canon, and like this movie, that game would not influence anything. Only the fact that Sigourney Weaver had a daughter back on Earth. That's the only thing that would change. But yeah, really, really cool. we've got a new feature called Say It As You See It. When I put this out, I was unsure where this was going to go with this movie. Over on X, Sin's Corner, underwhelming, overrated, disappointing. They're a movie reviewer.
Oh, fucking
Uh,
hell.
You've got the best user handle in history. Walla-la-la-la-la-bumba. That's their handle.
That's cool.
They've put, I liked it, much better than I expected. The only thing that bothered me was the CGI Ian Holm and their review account. On Instagram, Never Ending Film Festival, a dumbed down Disneyland fan film. No, sorry, a dumbed down Disneyfied fan film made by the Zack Schneider of horror and produced by a salty old fart who should have retired years ago. They're an independent movie magazine. Paul
hell.
Tams, this is the greatest hits album of one of the greatest bands in the world.
Yes,
which
I
think-
saw that comment and I thought it was amazing.
And he's a movies and collectibles account. Cecil Candybottom, this is Ali and his puppet Cecil and all of their friends that you can see. There's loads now. A blend of its influences that neither takes away nor adds to the franchise. A movie definitely worth a watch. Did we need it? No. Am I glad we got it? Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of where I sit with this as well. Do you want me to take my roundup first?
No, I'm going to go first because I feel like you're going to be a dick.
Hold on. You're going to go first?
Yes.
Okay.
10 years later.
No, you need to play that at the end.
Okay.
Not now.
All right, go on then. Take us away.
For me, I thought Alien Romulus was absolutely stellar. I thought it was a great return to form for this franchise, something we haven't seen since Aliens, to be honest with you. I wanted to say Alien, but I feel like this movie blends so much of the two that it's difficult to not incorporate Aliens into that statement. I thought the cast was fantastic. I thought the girl who plays Rain, I can't, CC Spacek or something like that.
Yeah.
That's probably wrong. But I thought she was phenomenal. I think they tried too much to make her and Ripley wannabe instead of making her stand upon her own 2 feet. But as an actress, I thought she delivered an astounding performance. I thought she was fantastic. Andy is, for me, the biggest selling point of this movie. I thought what they did with him and the inclusion of the whole android vibe and how important and how at the forefront his role was within these circumstances was the most intriguing to me, and what was something that I focused upon the most. Visually, this movie is phenomenal. It just goes to show how vital and how important practical effects are if you use them properly. And that's what disappointed me about the inclusion of Sir Ian Holm, is that he was so heavily CGI'd. It kind of compromised how focused they were on practical effects throughout, with the face huggers, with the xenomorphs, and seeing Ian Holm in such a...
Yeah, but later when you see Ian Holm on the little screen and he's all distorted, like there he looked great. But it was
He did. It was that initial introduction to him.
Yeah.
And it just looked lackluster and looked very poor, and it looked sort of like PlayStation level graphics. And I just think, considering how focused they were on practical effects within this movie, that particular scene really compromised the effort that they put in throughout, in my opinion. I think Fede Alverez is a fantastic director. I think he's a fantastic horror visionary, and I think what he does for the community is nothing but gold, in my opinion. You could give him a basic slasher, you could give him a basic haunting movie, and I think he would still churn out better than most. I think when you tackle such a highly regarded franchise and highly regarded movie property, such as the Alien one in particular, you're always going to succumb to criticisms and knockbacks, and nobody's ever going to be happy with what it is that you produce. But for me, this movie in particular, I think what Alien Romulus does is gives us the perfect trilogy that this franchise deserves. So you can take Alien 1, Alien Romulus, and Aliens, and this is a trilogy that this franchise deserves. Yeah, you've still got Alien 3, Resurrection, Prometheus, Covenant that all follow. But if you're talking about a trilogy like so many people like to do, and that's the best trilogy, this is the best trilogy. I think the inclusion of Alien Romulus to the Alien franchise does give us that perfect trilogy that this franchise deserves. It has its faults, yeah, 100%. I'm not going to pretend that it doesn't. But as an Alien fanboy, I loved everything that it tried to be. I loved everything that it represented. I loved the callbacks. I loved the fan service. There's a couple of things in here that didn't sit well with me, such as the "get away from her, you bitch," bit over the top, unnecessary. And I think considering how competent everything was before it, by the time they reached that point in the movie where they use that line, they should have had a little bit more focus and be like, come on, guys, what we've got here is fantastic. We don't need to do this.
Yeah.
And that's what disappointed me. And I didn't walk away from this movie because of that, feeling disappointed, and I can ignore it. And I hope that they do a different cut of the movie in the future where we get a much more bloodier, much more gorier version of what it was. Because considering this is Fede Alverez, I do feel like this was tame in terms of the guy, in terms of the gore and the bloodshed.
Yeah.
Everything was very cut away and it was very Disney. It was very Disney in terms of what it could have been with Fede Alvarez at the helm. So I hope we get a director's cut in the future. And if we do, I hope that line is severely cut from whatever version of it we get. But as it stands and what we've been to see, I've only seen this movie once and I will be checking it out numerous times in the future to make sure that my opinion is correct, whether that be bumping it up higher, bringing it down lower. But as it stands, this is a solid 4 out of 5 for me. I think this is the best the Alien franchise has been since the 80s. I think what this movie has done for the franchise is going to reinvigorate the want and the need for more movies within these walls of the Alien universe, and I'm here for it. I'm here for it. I don't want to hear anybody shit talking it on the internet because I just want more. And I think this satisfied my needs. I was very, very happy with what he produced. I can nitpick it, but I can nitpick any movie. I can pull any movie apart given the opportunity. And I think, this more than delivered. And I called this out as movie of the year early on. And I think the only movie that's going to sort of like challenge that is going to be Beetlejuice.
Okay. You just said you didn't want to hear people shit talk it.
Don't do it.
This movie is very much a fan film. It is Fede Alvarez giving us a tribute to the Alien franchise. He does some things in this that are fucking exceptional. The return to practical effects, the incredible shot where she's floating up. He brings us stuff that's new. He brings us stuff that's different. I feel that the studio, being Disney, involvement in this hampered it massively. I think there's a lot in here that I don't think was Fede Alvarez's choice. I don't think the "get away from her, you bitch" line is something that he would have bought into. Seeing what he's done with other franchises of this caliber, I don't think that's something he'd have bought into. The first build up, that initial bit on the planet is awesome. Going up to the ship is awesome. That first third of the movie is exceptional. The second third of the movie, when we start getting the face huggers and we start getting the xenomorphs, absolutely brilliant. The xenomorph in this is one of the scariest xenomorphs in the entire franchise. When we get to that final third, the fucking wheels fell off and this come off the track and crashed and burned for me. The inclusion of the weird fucking alien thing, the big giant wall vagina, like these are the things that I just went, Then we get the "get away from her, you bitch." I'm like, oh no. And then the final log, like the end of this movie completely fucked the experience for me. I was so on board until it started doing those things. It's not a bad movie. I enjoyed it. I will 100% watch this again. If we get a director's cut, I will be all over that in a second. But as it stands at the moment, this is a 3 out of 5. It just didn't. It's still a good movie, but it's not a great movie. I don't think it has a place within the Alien franchise. This, for me, definitely is not a perfect trilogy. Make it like 1, 2, and 3.
To say that it doesn't belong within the Alien franchise is scandalous. Come on,
But not that it doesn't belong within the franchise.
The movies within this franchise, surely this has more forethought than anything else.
It lives in the same place as Covenant and Prometheus. It is a thing on its own that should not be linked to the original Alien, Aliens, or Alien 3, in my opinion.
Bullshit.
But hey,
Call it bullshit. I smell it from here. I smell it from here, man. That's bullshit.
Get away from her, you bitch!
That is it for this episode. Let us know what you think. There's a feature now on Spotify, if you're listening there, where you can leave a comment. So leave a comment there. We'll respond to some. We'll share some on our Spotify page. Also, if you're watching on YouTube on the remastered episode, you'll have watched all the wonderful movie clips that I've added into this, and you can also comment. So comment there as well. Go and follow me and Mark's. It's at You Run Podcast, at Reviews from the Crypt, and at VHS from the Crypt on Instagram. Have a wonderful week, and we will be back next week. And I'm stalling because I'm finding our outro before I fuck it up like I did at the beginning. So yeah, it's there. So see you all next week. Bye, guys.
Cheers, guys. See you next week.
You want to die tonight?
Late at night, I tune into your show, where you talk horror with a unique flow. Your voice is like sirens, draws me in, as you pick apart movies on murder and sin. The dad jokes you tell sets the scene. I hang on every word lost in the screen. Your passion for fear is contagious enough. You make me believe in Mark's overblown roundups. You run podcasts or a movie review, unveiling facts and playing games too. Your words paint pictures of darkness and dread, leaving me grinning long after I fled. But you run podcasts. You run podcasts or a movie review, unveiling facts and playing games too. Your words paint pictures of darkness and dread, leaving me grinning.